Another day keeps on chugging along as we are getting closer and closer to Week 18 of the 2021 regular season. Coming to a close here pretty soon as we've got playoff teams, playoff implications on the line that we're going to be discussing on this episode of Time2Football. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to a brand new episode. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel that we like to call, you guessed it, Time2Football. Glad you guys are able to join us for this wonderful, marvelous, exciting, innovative, brand new day. Thursday morning, January 6, 2022. Hey, on today's show, we're going to be discussing the playoff predictor machine that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, but we've been talking about it on Wednesday's show. Well, today we're going to be talking about that because we didn't have the opportunity to talk about it yesterday. Yesterday was actually the Fantasy Football Awards show, and we actually had a lot of fun making that. So if you guys missed any of that, I encourage you guys to go back, watch it. We didn't actually technically live stream it. We pre-edited it, we filmed it, we uploaded it, and we premiered it. So for you guys that tuned in during the premiere, you guys got to see that as we premiered it yesterday morning. If you haven't had a chance, I encourage you guys, go back to our channel, watch it. So much fun making that video, and I encourage you guys to go back and watch that. You guys can continue to join in on the live chat if you guys are watching this on YouTube, but just know that if you want to listen to us on the go, we do have a podcast up on the podcast app on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you guys search for us, Time, the number 2, the word football, all one word. Search for us so you can listen to us on the go. James Stark tuning in. Good morning, brother. How are you? James, I am doing wonderful. How are you, my man? Thanks for tuning in on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the playoff predictor, the playoff simulator, and then later on today, we're going to have weekly picks, that video coming out as its own separate video. Being released probably in the next 2, 3, 4 hours or so after this live stream were to end. But as for right now, let's talk about NFL news and notes that's going around the league. All right, so Antonio Brown, we have an update on him. If you haven't heard in the last 24 hours, Antonio Brown has issued a statement. And I'm going to go ahead and take some time, since it's a lighter show, to read off that statement. I'm going to show you guys. You guys can follow along, and then we're going to break down all of this and give you our thoughts and opinions on what is going on with Antonio Brown. Crazy stuff for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this up. Let me see if I can. Yeah, all right. I'll put myself in the corner right here. And let me actually get rid of the little topic bar at the bottom so you guys can see more of it. All right, here we go. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Bucs fans and my teammates. The Bucs helped me return to productive football after I had difficulties that could have ended my career. We worked together to resolve those difficulties, and I always appreciate that. Awesome. Be part of a Super Bowl champion team, then a contender, is a dream come true. I make mistakes, I'm working on myself, and I have positive influences around me. But one thing I do not do is shy away from playing hard on the field. No one can accuse me of not giving it my all every play. Because of my commitment to the game, I relented to pressure directly from my coach to play injured. Despite the pain, I suited up. The staff injected me with what I know now was a powerful and sometimes dangerous painkiller that the NFLPA has warned against using. And I gave it my all for the team. I played until it was clear that I could not use my ankle to safely perform my playing responsibilities. All right, let's pause for a second. So to get you guys caught up on everything, Antonio Brown, I mean, you know that he stormed off the field, but prior to that, he missed multiple games due to an ankle injury. And now this ankle injury is the same injury that he's talking about in this statement right now, saying that it was too difficult to perform in this game, and that the NFLPA has advised using against a dangerous painkiller, but they still injected him with that. A lot to unpack. First of all, if you know it's dangerous, Antonio Brown, why are you still agreeing to take it? That's a question that you need to think about, that we all need to think about. But first, that's just something to consider. Let's go ahead and continue with this statement. All right. On top of that, the pain was extreme. I would figure. I took a seat on the sideline, and my coach came up to me very upset, talking about Coach Arians, and shouted, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" I told him it's my ankle, but he knew that. It was well documented and we had discussed it. He then ordered me to get out on the field. I said, Coach, I can't. He didn't call for medical attention. Instead, he shouted at me, "You're done," while he ran his finger across his throat. Hey, it might be like the Chris Benoit crippler crossface, thumb across the throat, "You're done." Or the Undertaker, whatever. Choose your wrestler. He didn't call for medical attention. Instead, he shouted at me, "You're done," when he ran his finger across his throat. Coach was telling me that if I didn't play hurt, then I was done with the Bucks. Okay, pause. Let's go ahead and break that down. So, we assume this is Bruce Arians. Nowhere in this statement does Antonio Brown say the coach is Bruce Arians, but we can acknowledge, we can assume that it is Coach Arians. It's BA talking to AB. Get out on the field. Okay, and that's the reason why Antonio Brown said, "I'm done. I'm leaving." But let's go ahead and continue a little bit further on. I didn't quit. I was cut. I didn't walk away from my brothers. I was thrown out. Being fired on the sideline for having a painful injury was bad enough. Then came their spin. Coach denied on national television that he knew about my ankle. That's 100% inaccurate. Not only did he know I missed several games with the injury, he and I exchanged texts before the game where he clearly acknowledged my injury. He obviously knew what was on the injury list, that I was on the injury list, and my GM acknowledged after the game in text messages to my camp that I did tell Coach about my ankle pain on Sunday. Ooh. Page 2. I know we were losing to the Jets. Oh, that's a tough statement to say. And that was frustrating for all of us, but I could not make football plays on the ankle. Yes, I walked off the field, but there was a major difference between launching from the line and taking hits compared to jogging off the field with a rush of emotions going through your mind. I am reflecting on my reaction, but there was a trigger. The trigger was someone telling me that I am not allowed to feel pain. I acknowledge my past, but my past does not make me second-class citizen. My past does not forfeit my right to be heard when I am in pain. I agree. First they cut me, now they cage me. Instead of asking how I felt or getting to the bottom of it, the team texted my camp promoting a totally false narrative that I randomly acted out without any explanation. They even told us in writing, "Don't spin this any other way. I have stress. I have things I need to work on. But the worst part of this has been the Bucks' repeated effort to portray this as a random outburst. They are telling people that I walked off when I was cut. No. I was cut first, and then I went home. You threw me out like an animal, and I refused to wear their brand on my body, so I took my jersey off." Let me see if there's anything more significant worth reading or risk. All right, I'll just finish it out. Appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with us. As part of their ongoing cover-up, they are acting like I wasn't cut and now demanding that I see a doctor of their choice to examine my ankle. Hey, Kawhi Leonard, same exact situation. When they did not know until now, that is on Monday morning, I had an urgent MRI on an ankle. It shows broken bone fragments stuck in my ankle. Ooh. The ligament torn from the bone, the cartilage loss, which are beyond painful. You can see the bone bulging from the outside, but that must and can be repaired. The MRI has been read by 2 top orthopedic surgeons at NYC. That's probably where he went right after the Jets game. That's why he was hanging out at the Brooklyn Nets game, including Dr. Martin O'Malley at hospital for special surgery. Okay, so he's quoting someone by name and the specific location where he works. Not realizing that I had already scheduled a surgery at HSS, the Bucks ordered, quote unquote, me under penalty of discipline and with a few hours' notice to show up to a more junior doctor at HSS for another opinion. What a joke. They're playing like I wasn't cut, giving me a surprise attack order to show up to another doctor with no reasonable notice, and setting this whole thing up as a basis to cut me because what they did on Sunday was not legitimate. Sorry, GM. I already received the confirming opinion from the top doc at the hospital you ordered me to go to. I love the Bucks fans. I really do. I love my teammates and everyone who showed me grace and believed in me. Gave the Buccaneers everything that I had on the field. What the organization is doing now needs to be cleaned up. I do not understand how people publicly claiming to be concerned about my mental health can do things to me in private. Once my surgery is complete, I'll be back to 100% and looking forward to next season. Business is going to be booming. Oh my goodness. What a statement from Antonio Brown. Hey, the T, as my hot brunette wife would say. That is T. that is definitely a team that we need to talk about. And I'm not talking about the drama because I don't want to start drama. I only talk about things if it pertains to football. And as it pertains to football, we have to know if Antonio Brown is going to be released or not, because Bruce Arians has come out and said after the game, yeah, he's no longer a Buck. Now, he didn't say the word released. He didn't say the word cut. He just said he's no longer a Buck. So people would assume, okay, he's getting released. And then on Monday, Adam Schefter reported, we're not going to release, the Buccaneers aren't releasing him yet because they're going to be talking to the NFL and see the best situation. So, okay, already, leave your thoughts and your comments down below in the live chat. Whose side are you on, right? Is it Bruce Arians? Is it Antonio Brown? I am the odd man out, and I kind of defended Antonio Brown in a segment that we released just a couple of days ago, but I'm sticking by it. I am defending Antonio Brown in this freaking situation. I mean, the amount of details in this statement that he read, that he typed up, might have been his PR person, but whatever. PR department, him, whatever, his camp typed up the amount of details in a short 2-day, 3-day window that he was able to give out. That already tells me, wow, this is too detailed for me to realize, like, this is a lie. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, I was injured and I was dealing with this ankle injury that they already knew about, like he said on the first page of the statement. Makes sense, okay? Like, you can lie about that. That can be disproven if you're lying about that. I get it. But the fact that he's mentioning the doctors by name, the place that he went to by name, and it's so detailed as far as, like, the MRI results show that there's a bone bulging out of my foot. There's broken fragments in my foot as well, in my ankle. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, the boy that cried wolf, right? It's hard to believe, like, hey, this guy's going through so many mental things right now. He's had a history of, like, wronging the Raiders and the Patriots and everything, whatever. So it's hard to believe him in this statement and this situation right now. And I think the fact that he stormed off the field kind of goes back to his behavior issues that he's been having with former teams in the past. And maybe he shouldn't have done that particularly. Like, any other player might have just been like, all right, I'm on the sideline. I'm just chilling out. I'm just going to hang out until towards the end of the game. And then after that, I'm not going to report to the team, right? But it's Antonio Brown. Like, he can do whatever the heck he wants. He doesn't care about what other people think of him. He just decided, hey, I don't want to represent this team. I'm taking this off my body. I'm leaving now. And so that kind of relates to his mental behavior, the issues that he's had in the past. But as far as this particular situation, I kind of believe him, man. I kind of believe him because I know that Bruce Arians, he's like an older coach. He might have the mentality of, like, oh, yeah, you're fine. Like, rub some dirt on it, get back in there. Whereas, like, more of the younger coaches might be like, okay, well, like, we got to be very, very careful with you. What's wrong with you? Are you in pain? Let's go ahead and arrest you. Yeah, I'm siding with Antonio Brown on this. I really am. And then people will, again, I freaking hate when people say CTE. It's not CTE, dude. That is an insult to a lot of people that actually do legit have CTE, that go through depression, that go through, like, suicidal thoughts, that have actually committed suicide, like in the past with brain injuries, dealing with CTE, like Vincent Jackson, Junior Seau, like those players. This is just, it's an ego thing. Like, it's just who Antonio Brown is as a person. Like, that he just acts out. He does whatever he wants. He doesn't care what other people think. And he just wants to do whatever the heck he wants to do. And so it's not CTE. It's absolutely not CTE. Stop saying it's CTE. You're not a professional. You're not a medical professional. Stop it. Okay? It's not that. Until proven, it's not that. Yeah, leave your thoughts and your comments in the chat. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge you guys in the chat right now. People saying, Trenton saying, love watching your shows and using your help and about fantasy players. Think all for you do. Yes, that's awesome. Appreciate you tuning in, by the way. But we're talking about Antonio Brown here. We got to know what's up with Antonio Brown. Hey, CHB is talking about AB is all the way right in this situation. I stand with AB. They just didn't want to play him. CHB, I agree. I stand with Antonio Brown as well. Might be a little bit biased just because, any player that I get to interview, I get a little bit, I grow a heart towards them. But does he need, like, any sort of help? Sure, I guess. Like, if you want to call it that, like Tom Brady says that he needs help. I mean, that makes someone sound like they're crazy, which Antonio Brown could be. I don't know. Like, he does act out and impulsive behavior. Yeah, he does do crazy things. Sure. Like, he could use some, like, go to a therapist, just talk it out. Yeah, work on that. But is he, like, dealing with CTE? Is he wrong with the situation? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. That's my thoughts and my opinions on Antonio Brown. All right. NFL news and notes. Let me go back to that and get you guys updated on everything going around the NFL. So let's first talk about the updates on players that are going to be playing and not playing in Sunday's game. So, activated off the COVID-19 list. Let's talk about COVID-19. Who's been activated and who's been placed on that list? Well, thankfully, when we talk about big names, at least, the players that have been activated just beats out the number of players that have been placed on the list, which is a very good thing. The players that have been activated and placed on that list, or activated from that list that had COVID-19, Kirk Cousins, he's going to be playing this weekend against the Chicago Bears. Antonio Gibson has been activated. Darren Waller as well. He's still dealing with a knee issue, so monitor his status. We don't know for sure if he's going to be playing in the season finale. They would love to have him. He would be a huge asset if they're able to get him. Devin Bush is activated for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Quinnen Williams for the New York Jets, and then Tevin Coleman for the Jets as well. Coming back from COVID-19, they're going to be playing this weekend. Placed on the COVID-19 list, you've got Joe Mixon, and he's already been ruled out. I think this might be to the fact that I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on it, but he was placed on the list yesterday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so it's a 4-day window, and if you're unvaccinated, you have a 5-day window. So the fact that they already ruled him out before the 5-day window tells me that, yes, he's unvaccinated. So that's probably the status on Joe Mixon. He's going to be out for this weekend. Micah Parsons has been placed on that list. He might have a chance to play. Joe Hayden has been placed on that list. He hasn't been ruled out as well. Joe Mixon's teammate, Joe Burrow, will not be playing this Sunday. Okay, so he had a knee injury. He suffered that knee injury against the Kansas City Chiefs. He could have gone back into the game. Like, it was Brandon Allen that came in, took the snap, took the kneel down, and then they kicked it with Evan McPherson for the game-winning field goal. But Joe Burrow, suffering that knee injury, he said that he was fine and he could have gone back into the game if they needed him to, and he could have played in Week 18 if the playoff implications were higher for the Bengals. But they already clinched a playoff spot. No need to play him. Rest up, Joe Burrow. You deserved it. Baker Mayfield playing against the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend, or at least his team is. He's going to be sitting out because since the Browns have been eliminated from playoff contention, this was prior to Monday Night Football, actually, that the Browns were out of playoff contention, and they didn't shut him down before the Monday Night Football game. They just went ahead and let Baker Mayfield play. I don't know why, but he played, and they lost. And now the Browns are realizing, okay, there's nothing left to play for. Baker, long-awaited shoulder surgery that you needed since, like, the beginning of the season, like the first quarter of the season. You needed the shoulder surgery. Go get it. Go get it, Tiger. Case Keenum is going to be starting for the Cleveland Browns this weekend. Justin Fields will start for the Minnesota Vikings after being a full participant in practice. He's going to be finishing out the regular season. Derrick Henry is designated to return off of injured reserve. Uh-oh. Hey, if you're an AFC team, watch out. The Titans were so dangerous with Derrick Henry, and they were a little dangerous without Derrick Henry, but they were still able to win some games without Derrick Henry. Now you have him back. Deontay Foreman, thank you for your efforts. You played great. Dontrell Hilliard, you played great. You did your job. But move aside, because Derrick Henry, the king, has returned to his throne. The Tennessee Titans, if they beat the Houston Texans and they lock up that number 1 seed, Derrick Henry fully healthy, watch out for the Tennessee Titans in the postseason. Teddy Bridgewater has a concussion that he's been dealing with for the last 3 weeks. Took a bad hit in a game. He has been ruled out for the remainder of the season. I don't know why the Broncos elected to place him on injured reserve. It doesn't really matter at this point. Maybe because Brett Rypien, he was already on the active roster. Maybe they wanted to activate another quarterback. I don't know. But he's been placed on injured reserve. Actually, as a matter of fact, it does make a little bit of sense because 2 of the top quarterbacks, the Denver Broncos, are dealing with injuries. Teddy Bridgewater, concussion, placed on injured reserve. Drew Lock, shoulder injury. He's been limited in practice, which we'll be getting into practice updates in just a bit. But you have two quarterbacks that are injured, so if both can't go, you got Brett Ripon in line to take the start, and then whatever quarterback they decide to activate off of the practice squad. You know what? Give it to Kendall Hilton. Is it Hilton or Hinton? Kendall Hinton plays against the New Orleans Saints last year when all the quarterbacks had COVID-19. That was an amazing moment. But yeah, the Broncos are dealing with some quarterback injuries, to say the least. Cam Akers will be playing this Sunday to close out the regular season. The Rams, at this point, they're probably just fighting for the number 2 seed just to lock it up, right? Get a better seeding so that they can face the number 7 seed in the NFC playoff picture. Cam Akers, he's going to be returning. Sony Michel more than likely will be the top dog, will be the top back, but let's see what Cam Akers has got for the Los Angeles Rams. Charles Leno, the offensive lineman for the Washington football team, has signed a 3-year, $37.5 million contract extension. Yes, lock up that offensive line. That has been kind of up and down. Like, it was down in the beginning of the season, and then later on, the run game kind of picked up because of that offensive line. Leno Jr. decided to earn himself a big contract extension, 3-year, $37.5 million contract extension. Congratulations to him. But speaking of the Washington football team, this was actually interesting news that I thought was pretty cool, pretty neat, that I wanted to go ahead and mention on the show. The Washington Admirals could be the team name for the Washington football team, believe it or not. And it's because a lot of people do a lot of snooping and what's the word? Sleuthing, if that's the right word that I'm using, where they just type in domain names. So they type in Washington Wolves. Oh, that doesn't go anywhere. Washington Red Wolves. Oh, that doesn't go anywhere. Washington Warriors, Washington Armada, whatever. They typed in WashingtonAdmirals.com, and it redirected to the Washington football team's official website. I'm just saying, just a rumor out there, that since it redirected to that website, there's a chance that the Admirals could be the next team name for the Washington football team. If you like the Admirals, leave your comments down below. I personally think, the Washington Wolves would have been awesome, but I understand the legality of it, trademarks, they couldn't get it done. Washington Warriors is another one that I really like, but I understand the legality of it, trademarks, couldn't get it done. Please just don't go with Armada. I don't know what Armada is. Hey, what the heck is an Armada? Huh? What's your mascot? Hey, Washington, if you're going to be the Washington Armada, don't. Be the Admirals. I'm okay with the Admirals. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, leave your thoughts and your comments and your opinions down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Washington Admirals potentially being the next team name that they announce on 2/2/22. All right, now what we've been doing is we've been talking about this playoff simulator where we simulate the favorites to win each game this Saturday and this Sunday and see how that affects the playoff picture moving forward. Now, there's a lot of playoff scenarios for many teams, which we're going to update after we simulate these games. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Week 18. I'll go ahead and pull this up here in just a bit, and then we're going to simulate the games. But I just want to go ahead and give you an idea of what the playoff picture looks like. So for the AFC, that's where the most, I guess, implications lie as far as not only seeding, but also who's going to be making it into the postseason and who's not, because there's 2 playoff spots still available that are currently held by the Indianapolis Colts and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Sunday night football game between the Chargers and the Raiders, more than likely, there's a chance it's not going to be like this, but more than likely, it's going to be win and you're in, lose and you're out. And I say more than likely because the Raiders can still get in if they lose. It's like if the Ravens lose and the Colts lose as well, then the Raiders get in. But we'll update you guys on the playoff picture and which teams have a chance after we simulate each game. So let me go ahead and pull up the favorites to win each game on my iPad right here and then show you guys on my computer the playoff simulator. I'll go ahead and put this in the corner. myself in the corner right here. So, for instance, we got the 2 Saturday games, right? The Chiefs and the Broncos, the Cowboys and the Eagles. If we elect the Chiefs to win, for instance, because they're the favorites to win, we go update that, and then momentarily, the Chiefs, they move up to 12-5, and they move up to the first seed. That means after Saturday's win, if the Chiefs win, they got to have their fingers crossed and be like, hey, Tennessee, I hope you lose to the Houston Texans. I hope they sweep you in the series this year because we want that number 1 seed. So the Chiefs move up to the first seed temporarily. Now for the Cowboys and the Eagles, if we simulate that game, which the Cowboys are 7-point favorites in this game, we update that. It doesn't really update. It doesn't change. Like the Cowboys stay at the 4th seed. And, that could be because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the tiebreaker that they lost to them. The Los Angeles Rams have been really good in the NFC as well. But yeah, that's what it looks like after those games have been simulated. Now, let's go ahead and simulate the remainder of the games. The Steelers and the Ravens, both these teams are in line to make a playoff spot, potentially. But let me go ahead and read off what is on the line for both the Steelers and the Ravens. For the Baltimore Ravens, I have it pulled up right here. A lot needs to happen for them. They need to win. The Chargers need to lose, and the Colts need to lose as well. And the Dolphins need to lose as well. So 1 win and 3 other teams need to lose for the Ravens to have a chance to make it in. For the Steelers, it's a little bit easier just because they tied the Detroit Lions. They have that half game over the Baltimore Ravens. They need to win. The Colts need to lose. And that's it. That's it for the Steelers. And then they would make it into the postseason. So let's go ahead and pull up who the favorite in this game is. And it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers are the underdogs in this game. So the Ravens, who have been on this 5-game losing streak, it doesn't matter. The Ravens are 5.5-point favorites. So they win if that happens. And we're just simulating the favorites, right? The Steelers lose. Now, all of a sudden, the Ravens are in contention of making a wild card spot. But again, Chargers, Colts, Dolphins, all 3 of these teams need to lose. Is that going to happen? Keep that in mind with the Baltimore Ravens. Moving on over here to the Bengals and the Browns. This one doesn't really have many playoff implications. I mean, the Browns are out of it. The Bengals already have it locked up. They're the 3rd seed. So the Bengals are favorites to win in this game. Am I reading this correctly? Is this typed out correctly? Because it's saying that the Browns are favorites in this game. Are they favorites because they're benching their starters? Hold on. This has to be wrong. This has to be wrong. Let me go ahead and fix this up real quick. No, this cannot be right. The Bengals are underdogs against the Browns. That cannot be right. Hey, this is live. This is live, by the way. You're seeing this live as we were trying to figure this out. Yeah, the Bengals are the favorites. Maybe the Steelers are the favorites over the Ravens as well. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But I'm going to go ahead and click this back and see if, it might be a mistake, might be a typo. But yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals are the favorites in this game. Anyways, let's go back. Let's go ahead and get back to this. So the Bengals are the favorites to win in this game. And if we click on them, they stay at the number 3 seed. For the Packers and the Lions, no playoff implications here. The Packers are the favorites. Aaron Rodgers might be resting up. We don't know. They already have the 1st seed. Win or lose, regardless, it does not matter for them. The Titans and the Texans. Okay, remember, the only thing that matters at this point is if the Titans win. Because if they beat the Texans in this game, they move on back up into the number 1 seed. For the Chiefs, they drop down momentarily to the number 2 seed. So the Titans are the favorites to win in this game. Let's go ahead and click them, and then they have the number 1 seed locked up for the season. All right, now the Colts and the Jaguars. This is a very, very, very important game for playoff seeding and for the Baltimore Ravens, who are the favorites to win in this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can the Colts beat the Jaguars? Well, if we look at the favorites right now, Indianapolis is a 15.5 favorite against the Jaguars, so they are going to win. So that already eliminates the Baltimore Ravens. The Colts just need a win, and they're in. So the Colts lock up that playoff spot if the favorites were to win each game. The Bears and the Vikings, this game does not have any implications at all, but Minnesota is a favorite, so let's just go ahead and pick them. And then we scroll a little bit down. We've got on this side Washington and New York. No playoff implications in this game, but the Washington football team are the favorites to win. So let's go ahead and pick them. The Saints and the Falcons. Okay, now transitioning over to the NFC. The only thing that really matters for the wild card as far as the Saints go is that they need to win and the 49ers need to lose. Okay, so the Saints are 4.5-point favorites to win it in this game. Let's go ahead and pick them. Pick them to win. Nothing changes right now, but the 49ers down here, when we get to their game, keep that in mind. They're 9-7 right now. If they lose, the Saints move on up and clinch a wild card spot. Then we move over to the Jets and the Bills. No playoff implications here, except that the Bills could potentially win the AFC East if they were to get this win. So the Bills are the favorites to win in this game, actually 16-point favorites. So let's go ahead and pick them to win, and they lock up the AFC East for a second straight season. The Patriots and the Dolphins, it was going to be a playoff implications if the Ravens were still alive at this point, but since the Colts won, they're out of it. And since the Bills won, the Patriots can't really lock up the AFC East at this point or the number one seed. So the Patriots, they're 6.5-point favorites. Let's just go ahead and pick them. They're locked in, and you'll have a Buffalo versus New England matchup coming up next week in the playoffs. The Panthers and the Bucks are the favorites to win in this game. So they win. They momentarily move up to the second seed, and it depends on the matchup between the Rams and the 49ers on what the future holds for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you've got the Seahawks and the Cardinals. The Cardinals just want to continue moving on up after having that victory against the Dallas Cowboys and the seeding aspect of it. But, I mean, if the favorites win in all these games, it doesn't really matter at this point. The Cardinals are the favorites to win. And since the Cowboys won and all these other teams, then the Cardinals, they remain the fifth seed. But depending on the matchup between the Rams and the 49ers, if the Rams lose, the Cardinals win the NFC West. If the Rams win, then the Cardinals would stay the fifth seed, and they would have to face the Dallas Cowboys next week in the wild card. And the favorite to win this game between the Rams and the 49ers, I'm just double-checking because the 49ers beat the Rams earlier this season, and the Rams are the favorites to win in this game. So, look out. The Rams win, and the Saints clinch a playoff spot. Can you believe that? So this is a big game for San Francisco. They have to beat the Rams, or the Falcons have to beat the Saints for the 49ers to get inside of the playoffs. But if the favorites were to win each game, you've got the Saints now going into the postseason. An offense that has been trickling down, that has not been looking great, has a good chance of making the NFL postseason. Now we go here to the Sunday Night Football game between the Chargers and the Raiders. It's going to be a close one. But the Chargers are 3 points favorites to win in this game. So if the Chargers win, let's go ahead and click them. They get the 7th seed. If the Raiders win in this game, then the Raiders would get inside of the playoffs here at the 6th seed. The Colts would drop down to the 7th seed. So if all the favorites leading up to Sunday Night Football were to win, then truly you'll have a win and you're in, lose or you're out game for Sunday Night Football, which is going to be so entertaining to watch in Las Vegas. But the favorites to win are the Chargers. So let's go ahead and take a moment to recap and see what happens. If the favorites were to win each game this weekend, you've got the Titans in the AFC locking up the number 1 seed. The Chargers and the Chiefs and an AFC West showdown and the wild card is going to be happening. They've had some pretty good matchups this year, so don't count out the Chargers, even though they're the 7th seed. The Colts and the Bengals would be a pretty good matchup with Jonathan Taylor against Joe Burrow and that high-powered passing offense. Should be a good one. And then an AFC East battle between the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. They split their series 1-1, so it's going to be up in the air on who's going to win that game. Over in the NFC, the Packers, they lock up the NFC's top seed. It does not matter, win or lose in this week. The Saints and the Rams, like we mentioned, the Saints get in due to the 49ers having a tough matchup this week and the Saints having an easier matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. So it's in their favor, really, to clinch that wild card spot. And I know that they want some revenge against the Rams in the playoffs for sure. I don't want to bring back some distant memories because I know Sean Landry is probably tuning in. But the Eagles and the Buccaneers in the playoffs as well. This should be a good game with Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni clinching his first playoff spot last week in his coaching career. And then the Cardinals and the Cowboys rematch. Hey, at AT&T Stadium, Kyler Murray, 8-0, beat the Cowboys just last week. And he has a chance to do that again if that were to happen. So that happens if all the favorites win. We're going to release our weekly picks later on today on who you guys voted on social media is the favorite to win each game, as well as give our opinions on who we think is going to win each game. But if you agree, disagree with these playoff scenarios, do you think this is going to happen? Leave your comments, leave your thoughts down below. Would love to talk to you guys, interact with you guys on what's going to happen in an exciting Week 18. Now we've got the live chat that we want to get into. And I'm going to go ahead and interact with you guys. And just as I was about to read some comments, my iPad dies. That's awesome. Awesome. That's okay. I got it pulled up right here on my computer, the live chat. So let me go ahead and see what you guys are saying. Top chat. All right. We've got Sean Landry. Actually, I was correct. He is tuning into the show. Good morning. Thoughts on your Birds and my Saints? Last we've seen of Matt Ryan in a Falcons uniform. Will the Saints make the playoffs? I'll be rooting for LA to beat the 49ers, assuming we win. Yeah. I mean, if you just saw this segment right now, Sean, yeah, the Saints are favorites to make the NFL postseason, and it's all because of scheduling, man. Just because of how it worked out at the end of the regular season when the 49ers are like, frick, we got to beat the Rams again. You know, it's going to be difficult for the 49ers at this point to make the postseason. But against the Falcons, I mean, the Falcons played the Saints tough, and the Falcons did beat the Saints earlier this season. So I know the Falcons could play spoiler. As far as, will this be the last time we see the Falcons in or Matt Ryan in a Falcons uniform? You know, I know we kind of touched base on this. We kind of texted back and forth about this yesterday, and you were talking about like, oh, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick or Marcus Mariota or whoever could be that bridge quarterback, because Marcus Mariota has history with Arthur Smith since their days in Tennessee. But, you know, I think if they would rather go down the route of getting a new quarterback, they would go draft a new quarterback. Because the bridge quarterback, I think it would be Matt Ryan, just because the only reason that you would want to trade him or get rid of him is because of salary cap, maybe. I don't know if it's going to count against the hit, count against the cap. I haven't had a chance to look at the numbers just yet. But he does have an extra year left on his contract after this season. So I think the Falcons stay put with Matt Ryan, regardless if they draft a quarterback in this year's draft or not. And if you want to talk about getting another veteran quarterback, moving off of Matt Ryan, then next year in 2023, sure. But in 2022, just because he's got another year left on his contract, I think they're going to stick with Matt Ryan on the team. And whether they draft a quarterback or not, I don't know. But Matt Ryan, I think, will be a Falcon in 2022. And you like the idea of the name, the Washington Admirals? Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. It's not my favorite. I'm probably a little kid, like Washington Wolves. Wow, that sounds cool. But the Admiral seems pretty cool too. I'm okay with that. Just not the Armada. What isn't? Let me Google this. Armada definition. I'm going to look this up right now. Actually, as a matter of fact, while I'm doing this, we can go ahead and pull up the Washington football team website, like WashingtonAdmirals.com. I think they took it down. But the Armada definition, a Spanish naval invasion force sent against England by Philip II of Spain in 1588. It was defeated by the English fleet and almost completely destroyed by the storms of So what does that have to do with Washington? I get it. It's like the Washington Capitol. You have like a fleet, like a defender. Like the Defender seems like a cool name because it's like you're defending Washington, right? Their Armada, it's like a Spanish fleet that comes. Like, is there history? Am I missing something between Washington and the history of like a Spanish fleet? I don't know. I just know that I'm not a fan of the name. Actually, let's go over here to my computer and let's go ahead and type in. Let me pull this up. Washington Admirals. If I can spell admirals.com. All right, so let's see if there's. What is this? Oh my goodness. Okay, what the heck just popped up? I typed in WashingtonAdmirals.com and it redirected to thegivenkitchen.org. Oh, you know this has to be. Oh, okay. Okay, here's my opinion on this. I think that they already bought the domain for the WashingtonAdmirals.com. They linked it to the Washington football team official website. And then when people caught on, like, hey, this is redirected to the site, this could be their new team name, they were like, oh, instead, let's go ahead and redirect this to another site where you can donate money for like charity or whatever it may be. Ah, smart play. Smart play. But that's creative for sure. Trenton saying, I like the Admirals too. Yeah, I was starting to like the football team. Yeah, it's one of those names where, it didn't sound great at first because you're like, oh, this is so basic. You sound like a soccer team. What are you doing? And then later on, it just kind of caught on like, oh, yeah, I'm used to this. And I think someone inside of the organization, it might have been the VP or it might have been, I don't know, it might have been someone else, said like, okay, early on, the name, whatever the team name is, it's not going to be like a social media favorite, but it's going to catch on. Like people will fall in love with it and then we'll just move on from then on. So, yeah, we'll see. James Zachary saying, who dat? Sean saying, even if we were to make the playoffs, I don't think we have the offense to beat the Rams in LA. Love to see us in the playoffs, but don't see us getting past the Rams if the scenario were to happen. I agree with you, but I am not counting out the Saints. I have seen the Rams play this season, and I have seen them be bad when they weren't supposed to be bad. I've seen Matthew Stafford struggle against the Minnesota Vikings. I've seen Matthew Stafford struggle against the Baltimore Ravens. And the Saints defense, which has been red hot as of late, could do some damage and could be the reason why they beat the LA Rams. And Sean Payton, we also know he's a very good coach. Like, I'm not counting out the Saints at all. Like, some people might take Rams winning by like 7, by 10, by like multiple possessions. I'd say the Rams maybe win by like 2, 3, 4 points. Like, I think it's going to be close, and the Saints have a chance. Uzi, a Chargers-Chiefs, Chargers-Bengals, or a Chiefs-Bengals playoff game would be amazing to watch. Yeah, the Chargers and the Bengals are one of those teams, two of those teams, that are actually very, very fun to watch with their passing offenses, right? I'd love to see that happen. Rubio saying, I could see Dallas losing again to the Cards. Typical Cowboys. Yeah, I could see that. I think you're a Cowboys fan as well. I think we've chatted before, so you're kind of upset at the Cowboys. I could see that, but I could also see the Cardinals because they've lost games that they needed to win. So it's truly up in the air. I could tell you during our playoff simulation that we had back in April or schedule simulation, maybe it was April or May of 2021. The schedule release happened. We simulated the games on who was going to make the Super Bowl, and it was the Cardinals and the Titans that made the Super Bowl, and eventually the Titans beat the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. And that was all computer simulation. So maybe it could happen, maybe it won't. But, I mean, right now, that seems like it's leaning towards that way with the Cardinals making the playoffs and the Titans being the number 1 seed, potentially, in the AFC. Think the Chargers could make a run. This is by Fen 2002. Yes. I think they beat the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's 1-1 in that series. I could be wrong, but I think they beat the Chiefs earlier this season, like week 3 or something like that. So the fact that they beat them, yes. And they were so close. They were so close to beating the Chiefs in that game that went into overtime on Thursday Night Football. And the reason why they lost was because of drops by the receivers, overthrown balls that could have been touchdowns by Justin Herbert. They would have been in position to win that game. So even though it's 2nd seed versus 7th seed, I think the Chargers could make a very good run if they were to beat the Chiefs and they were to not make those same mistakes again. And Rubio confirming that he actually is a Cowboys fan. So, hey, it is much better to root for that team this year than any other team that missed the postseason. With all that said, we appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Time to Football. Glad you guys were able to join us for this wonderful, wonderful Thursday morning. Hey, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. We've got much more content coming out with you guys in tomorrow's show and then in future shows throughout the postseason, throughout the wildcard playoffs, divisional conference, all the way up to the Super Bowl. Fantasy football is over, but Prize Picks is still a very alive thing that we're going to be talking about on this channel. So make sure you guys tune in for tomorrow's show. With all that said, appreciate you guys tuning in. And remember, Armada sucks.